I must say today that politics is one of the things I find very frustrating to teach. I'm a teacher of international relations, and 99% of international relations is politics at the international plane. But the rules of politics are really just the same. Politics is about power, it's about control, it's about influence, it's about who ultimately makes decisions. It is difficult to teach politics because people react to politics emotionally and therefore irrationally. They do not accept that at the end of the day, the most defining characteristic of politics is the fight for power. Of course, citizens have a right to demand development from leaders, but that does not camouflage or should not camouflage the fact that at the end of the day, it is a group of elite who are fighting to control the state. Now, in a country like Kenya, the irrationality of politics gets even worse because, because of identity politics, mostly what people call ethnic politics, which is also fairly complicated because voting patterns in Kenya always tend to follow an ethnic logic, particularly at the presidential level. So one of the key fallacies in politics is something called groupthink. Now, groupthink, if I may just give you a definition, is a significant fallacy in political thinking characterized by the desire for harmony and conformity within a group that leads to flawed decision making. It involves the suppression of dissenting opinions and critical evaluation of options, often resulting in suboptimal outcomes. There are also other fallacies like bandwagoning, ad hominem reasoning and attacks, and so on and so forth. There's a lot, of that kind of literature. So in Kenya here, the most significant influence is the influence of ethnicity, particularly on presidential elections. Then, of course, you have the influence of political parties. But political parties are somehow basically created along the same ethnic lines. So it becomes very difficult for voters to get out of that matrix of thinking. And that is why it has become very difficult here in Kenya to use politics, to change the country, to change the way the country is governed, to change the way the elites behave. Because at the end of the day, those who say they have a huge ethnic base are always guaranteed that they will have a say. Either they will be elected or they will have such numbers that enable them to negotiate with other elites once elections are over. So the question Kenyans are grappling with now, particularly during this era of Gen Zs, is how do we get out of this mold of politics? How do we get out of groupthink? Because groupthink also applies at the level of the ethnic group, so that whatever the ethnic elite tell members of that particular ethnicity, they accept that and they use it as the rationale for how they exercise electoral choices. So that is the big problem now that Kenyans are facing. And therefore, it's good that we continue to educate one another so as to understand, and perhaps then we can get a way of advancing this country, because Kenya is full of potential in the East African region. We are the leaders when it comes to the East African community. Kenya's economy remains strong, perhaps maybe within the first 6 or 7 countries on the continent. And so Kenya plays a significant role, whether within the region or in the international plane.